Welcome to CivilNet. Our guest today is Pierre Akkelian, the founder and chair of the Armenian Jewellers Association. Welcome to CivilNet.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. I know that you have a very busy week here, but I want to introduce you to our viewers. You are the president of Canadian Gem, you're a Canadian-Armenian, and you specialize in pearls, and actually you're one of the world's leading supplier of pearls. And in 1997, through your initiative, you created the Armenian Jewellers Association.
True.
Tell us why you think it was important to create such an association of jewelers around the world, and you created it here in Armenia.
What happened is Armenia became independent in 1991, and as Armenians living in the diaspora, we all wanted to do something, help our motherland in any way we could. And this was my way of creating the network, international network, so that Armenians can help themselves, because there's a self-interest, but at the same time be able to help our brothers here in Armenia who are in the jewelry business. But the idea was not foreign to me because at the time I was the vice president of Canadian Jewellers Association, which is the grouping of all the major companies in Canada. And I was used to this, being, representing Canada in government circles, representing Canada in international gatherings. So I knew how it worked. And when Vatges Kanajan, whose brother is also living in Toronto, Canada, when he suggested that I come to Armenia because there's some opportunities, diamond cutting industries thriving, I said, I have in the pearls, I was in pearls. I said, I have nothing to do. Armenia is not known for pearls. I have nothing to do in Armenia, business-wise. And I felt guilty because I said, I don't have time. And then I felt guilty. We're in Japan now at a wedding. And I said, no, I want to go to Armenia, but let's do it this way. Let's invite other Armenians so together we can do it.
Well, and being involved in the Canadian Jewellers Association, you understood, I guess, the power and progress in numbers when people come together to advance their business or to look at new technologies. Interestingly, Armenians have a long tradition and history of jewelry making. It seems to run in families. Everybody knows somebody whose brother, uncle, father, son is a jeweler. If we may, just very quickly, how have you seen that historical progression? And in Armenia today, we're also seeing that tradition continuing. Why do you think that is that Armenians are so involved in this particular art form? Because it is an art form, jewelry making.
I'll answer because there's two questions here. Okay. First question, the numbers. As jewelers, we are one of the industries that have the most connections in the world. And I'll tell you why the numbers and this association works. In Canada, we had this very punitive tax, excise tax, luxury tax, which used to be the killer. And our industry suffered tremendously. Half of the business in Canada was under the table, underground, because there was a 10% tax that was killing us.
On top of all the other taxes.
On top of all the regular taxes everybody paid. So what happened is I was the government relations, responsible for government relation for the Canadian Jewellers Association, and I realized I used all that connection because every member of parliament has a jeweler. Every prime minister got married with a wedding ring and trusted a jeweler. So we used all those connections, and collectively we know all the secrets of society. I can tell you, more than Catholic priests.
There's so much emotion and sentimentality and family and love and marriage. It's all connected with your industry, right?
Exactly. So we are part of, people's
lives.
All the things that happen, good things that happen in life. All the, they need the jewelers to celebrate their weddings or whatever it is. So we use that connection, and as I became president, I was able to remove an excise tax that has been tried for 80 years before me. They weren't able to remove it. And I did it in such a way that I used the parliamentary system, and for the first time in the history, in parliamentary history, we removed the tax outside of the government wish, because the finance minister who decides tax issues, we went over and above. We had the parliament decide against his wishes, against the government's wishes, and we removed the tax, which has never happened. And I have to write that book because
I've been asked, sure, it's incredible.
I've been asked to write about this because it's a historic.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's the second part of your question: why Armenians are in the jewelry business so well known, or traditionally we're good jewelers. I have to tell you, Armenians are the best jewelers in the world, and I will substantiate my claim. We are to the jewelry trade what the Swiss are for the watch trade. And this is one of the objectives of the foundation that we started a year ago, Armenian Jewellers Foundation. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to dig and find out, all proof, archival proofs, what have we given to the world jewelry heritage as Armenians. And we have given a lot. We have given so much that we don't even know. I got into this because an English friend of mine called me from the British Archive. He was doing some research and he said, Pierre, it says here, Armenians are the first to import diamonds, or the first to introduce diamonds to Europeans. And this is in the British East Indies company archives.
It's incredible how much of our own history we don't know.
We don't, and he was calling me because he wanted to do a research, and he said, you are Armenian, you would know this. I said, you're giving me news, I have no idea. And
it's exciting too, isn't it?
It's extremely, and this is where I started thinking, if we're the first to bring diamonds to Europe, how did this thing evolve? What happened? And this is why we created the foundation, so that we do research about our history, so that we can document it first, and then make documentaries about jewelry trade or jewelry heritage of the world and our contribution to that heritage. And to the point of secrets, yes, there are secrets in our industry which pass through generations, and Armenians from the day of Noah's Ark were in the metallurgy. They're experts because we had the metal mines that supplied Mesopotamia. So we are experts in metal. When we were dealing with gold, the rest of the world, was still in the Bronze Age. So this is where it starts. And over the centuries, we have passed on this knowledge to the next generation. But what's happening now is the secrets that we passed in the families is now, you can go to any school, some major schools in Europe or America, even in Asia, and those secrets are taught by by experts.
Yeah,
so we Armenians are losing that advantage. We're losing the advantage of having trade secrets, which is now being lost. And I think one of the objectives of our foundation is to create that next generation of experts, next generation of the Lagerfelds, as I would call them, Lagerfeldians, who are have international fame. And this is what our foundation, we will try to have.
I want to talk about that, if we may, just before we move on to this gorgeous watch that we see here on the table. Oftentimes we talk about the failure of initiatives that happen in Armenia around Armenian issues. Obviously, the Armenian Jewellers Association and the Armenian Jewellers Foundation, which you were instrumental in creating, has been very successful. So these are success stories that I think it's important to relay to our viewers and to Armenians everywhere. Why do you think you have been successful? Why is it that every year, for a number of years, as far as I know, you've been having exhibitions of Armenian jewelers from around the world? One is taking place now. You have jewelers from Turkey and from the Middle East and from North America, perhaps even the East. I don't know if they're participating. What has been the secret of your success, of your organization's success?
Perseverance. I think also we were lucky. We were lucky because what happened initially, the birth happened because I was involved in Canada with the community affairs, and I was involved in, when we had the embassy opening in Canada, the Armenian embassy, I got to know our ambassador, Nanagulian, Garlik Nanagulian. And Garlik Nanagulian is one of the best people that could have happened to us, because what happened is we knew we were working together, and when I came to him with our concept, with our idea, I said, this is what we're thinking, to create a network of jewelers around the world so that we can help our fatherland, I guess, in Armenian. He said, this is the best idea, and I'll do anything I can to make it happen.
So you had support.
We had support. This is the Canadian connection. He became the Minister of Industry and Commerce immediately after that. And then he was in my office.
The connections, and the good relationships,
yes,
all of those things.
But what happened is, in our case, it was our initiative, and the Armenian government facilitated the launch. We started on the right foot, but then we stumbled along the way until we had this very energetic person who became the president of the Armenian Jewellers Association, Gagi Gevorkyan. Now he is the biggest jeweler in Russia. He's of Armenian origin. He's born here, raised here, and he has a huge operation. So we nominated him. He became a president, and he actively, with his connections, with the Armenian connections he was able to take it to the next level.
So the message is the importance of connections and knowing how to use them and building that trust to further what you want to do for the industry. But I want to talk about this watch here on the table, Frank Mueller. Could you please tell us the story? It's a fascinating story that you have with it.
What we did is we tried to figure out how can we finance our initiatives, because we need over $1 million to do this research, to do it properly. You need a lot professionally. Yeah. There could be never a doubt. Whatever we write, whatever books we publish, whatever documentary we make, there should be absolutely no doubt. So to do that, we need serious historians, serious
research, absolutely,
yes.
Editing.
So to raise that kind of money, we went to a good friend of ours who's also founding member. He was there from the beginning, Vartan Sermakes, of Frank Mueller Watches, which is world-renowned. One of the best brands. Yeah,
it's one of the best brands, one of the most expensive brands. It's actually a beautiful watch.
I had seen a Hermes project where, they raised funds by doing something Armenian with an Armenian team, and I said, why can't we do a watch with the Armenian letters? And Vartan was kind enough to create a special edition, 38 gold and 38 stainless steel watches.
So this is the stainless steel one we have, and on the face it says Aypenkim, or Albaka, as we say in Armenia.
Yes.
The Armenian alphabet.
Tricolor.
And on the back there's the engraving of the Armenian alphabet, and there's a A here.
There's one letter.
One letter.
Alternates, so you'll have only one of a kind watch.
One of a kind watch.
Yes. So all our sponsors who support our project, anybody who gives us $15,000, we give them in return a watch that is normally sold for $15,000, but with the added, right. This is a real collector's item.
So what do you have to give to get the gold watch?
$25,000.
Okay. Well, so this watch, this Frank Mueller watch on its own, then is worth about $15,000
yes,
now.
if you go to the store, the regular one is $25,000. So we have a collector's item. There's going to be one of a kind. So I presume anybody who sponsors us will be very lucky.
I'm assuming that too. It's a gorgeous watch. And do you also have them for women, or is it just for men?
No, for men now.
Why?
Next project will
the
be for
next
women.
project, so I'll remind you about that.
Yes, you see, in the jewelry industry, 99% of the goods we produce is worn by women, for women.
That's right.
So without women, we'll be lost. We will not be in business. So we know that. But we started with men. So next project, I promise you, we're going to be thinking of women.
Well, on that happy note, I would really like to thank you for coming and talking to us about this most fascinating industry, an industry that's been part of Armenian heritage and legacy. A lot of families, my own family has been involved in that business for many, many years. I want to wish you the best of luck with the Jewellers Association, with the foundation. I hope you raise lots of money, and so that you do produce that archival, historical material that's so important as Armenians for all of us.
We will, I assure you that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd like to remind our viewers that my guest today was Pierre Akkelian. Thank you for watching CivilNet.